First, Blue Protocol Star Resonance ended up underperforming, then Ashes of Creation turned out to be one of the biggest scams the entire MMO genre has ever seen, and now Riot MMO might just be canceled. Let's talk about that. There are hundreds of tweets circulating right now as a direct result of a Twitter user named Big Bad Bear. This is apparently a leaker with almost 100,000 followers. According to the leaker in question, seemingly, Riot's upcoming MMO FPS titled Project T might have gone through major internal changes or is being canceled. Along with, and here's the kicker, Riot is theoretically working on a large-scale multiplayer mobile game based on the League of Legends intellectual property that is going to be inspired by Genshin Impact, one of the biggest gacha games in the world. That could be interesting. I'm very curious to see how that ultimately ends up turning out. But most importantly, Project T, I was unaware that this was even a game. So let me give you a bit of context here. I didn't even know Riot was working on multiple MMOs at the same time. I ran this through Grok because I wanted an easy summary here of what the game was, and according to Grok, Project T is not the League of Legends inspired Runeterra MMO, and I'm sure you, probably much like me, were unaware of this as well. They are completely different projects. The Riot MMO is a traditional MMORPG set in the Runeterra universe, which is based on League of Legends lore. It was announced back in 2020, went through a major reset in early 2024, and is still, in theory, in active development. They have been very quiet. There's been no anything, no news, no information, no reveals of art direction, character designs, graphical style, anything really, not even a combat style at this juncture. It is the big fantasy open world MMO that everyone has been waiting for from Riot. Project T is a separate MMO FPS. This is supposedly like Valorant or Destiny 2, like an amalgamation of the two combined. It's been leaked through job postings and is rumored to be a competitive extraction style shooter, but also being an MMO at the same time. So maybe not necessarily an extraction shooter, but maybe it has those kinds of elements present. Some leagues tie to the Valorant universe. It is not the fantasy MMORPG though. Riot is working on both at the same time, along with other and unannounced stuff, just like the Genshin Impact game as well. The traditional MMO is the one most people mean when they say the Riot MMO, while Project T is their FPS MMO spin-off. So I didn't know that. I actually had absolutely no idea that was the thing, that was a game, that there were multiple games being created in the MMO genre from Riot directly. Project T, specifically, was or is set in the Valorant universe. There is going to be season progression. It is supposedly going to be an extraction shooter-like game. There's going to be hunger. There's going to be a fatigue system, which is very interesting. These are survival game elements. There are going to be MMO FPS aspects. I don't know in what capacity they're going to implement MMO aspects into the game. It is also going to be a full sandbox experience. So they're somehow going to tie in MMO, FPS, extraction-like, and a large open sandbox world together. Tie them into a singular world. That is a lot of features. Those are a lot of varying, very, very stark, contrasting elements put together to comprise the game. And understand why the game might be in trouble, because creating a game with so much diversity is likely to be very difficult to do. At the same time, though, we've heard nothing from Riot specifically pertaining to the fantasy MMO. They've brought on new directors, they've brought on so many different staff members. At the same time, they've actually also lost staff members. I was browsing through Twitter and Reddit and just social media, and there are dozens of messages left by former employees stating that they're no longer working at Riot. They were either a part of the main fantasy MMO team or the MMO FPS team as well, Project T, which is a little disconcerting. because that definitely lends a little bit of validity here to the fact that these games are in trouble. The fantasy MMO specifically, I wish it had a name. Like, I wish it actually had a name other than the League of Legends MMO. Yo, I don't mean to interrupt the video, but I need to take a moment here to thank all my incredible patrons over on Patreon whose support continues to allow for me to do regular videos like this every single day on this channel. Thank y'all so much, including our YouTube channel members. You guys mean the world to me. So do you guys as viewers as well. Now, without further ado, let's continue. Even the League MMO, it has gone through so many different renditions over the course of the last several years that God knows what the game looks like. God knows what the game plays like. God knows how far through progression they even are. Like, I remember going back, what, a year ago? They stated the game would not be ready until after 2030, or maybe they didn't specifically or officially, but it was leaked that the game wouldn't be ready till at some point after 2030. That is a long ways away. But at the same time, I mean, MMOs take a really long time to develop. So by extension, you're looking at a development cycle that lasts 5-10 years or more. And little segue here, that is one of the reasons why MMOs just are no longer profitable, no longer something that many developers really want to invest time into creating. The return on the investment here, the time investment, the financial investment just isn't worth it. You might make a few $1 million, if that, and that is from an established entity, a studio that already has a history in the genre. You might make a few million, you might make tens of millions, and then that's it. It's gone, it's dead. That is the likely result of every MMO that's going to release. As much as we all hate to admit it, that is why mobile MMOs have become so popular. They churn and burn these games. These are developed in the span of a year. They literally take the skin, the foundation, the skeleton of another pre-existing mobile MMO, and they just apply a new skin to it. And then they just release that. Mobile gamers are idiots, so they spend tens of millions of dollars. The return on investment for such a small amount of time and money, financial investment into the game, is just exponentially more than they ever could have wanted. Thus, going back to Riot here, it makes sense why they're also working on a large-scale multiplayer mobile League of Legends Genshin-inspired game. What is the most popular, or at the very least one of the most popular types of video game in the world right now? Gacha games. What are the most popular gacha games right now? Genshin Impact, Wuthering Waves. They are both open world, anime, action games that have very popular gacha systems implemented that are cross-platform compatible between mobile, console, and PC. League of Legends sees this. Everyone sees this. They all want a piece of the pie. So naturally, they would transition over to creating a game like this to take advantage of it. And it makes sense, and I'm not going to fault them for this, but at the same time, it doesn't bode well for Project T. It also doesn't bode well for the Riot MMO, because who knows how many more versions, variants of the game, iterations of the game we're going to go through before it finally ends up realized how many people are going to be there left supporting it 5-10 years from now if the game ultimately releases. Who knows how much longer the MMO genre is even going to be here for or relevant for. It's already faded into a significant amount of obscurity over the course of the last several years alone. I dread how it's going to look 5 years from now. But all that to say, Project T might be canceled, which is a huge bummer because, I mean, I will take every MMO I can get. Even if they end up ultimately shit, I would just still love to try it and play it and then just quit it rather than not having anything to try and play at all. I know you think that you just hit the end of the video, and technically, yeah, you have. And I know your first reaction is to close out of it at this juncture, but don't. No, instead, I urge you to take a moment here and click one of the videos on screen that are coming up in just a moment so you remain up to date with everything going on in the gacha genre. Trust me, you're not going to regret doing so. Stay flaccid.